Morning, all. All right, so we're going to start off today talking about Carolina and the New York Islanders. And this is a series that I don't know how the vote's going to turn out. Carolina will probably get more votes than the Islanders, but this one's a tough call. I really wanted to wear an Islanders jersey for this preview. If it comes down to who I'm rooting for, there's part of me rooting for the Islanders. But at the same time, Carolina, usually pretty entertaining in the playoffs. The one question I have with Carolina is the same one that sank them last year, where the goals will come from in these big games when the scoring's really tight. Do the Carolina Hurricanes find the amount of goals they need in order to win the series? So I think this one's going to be close, but I think the games will go by quickly in that the Islanders play a style of hockey, not a lot of whistles, not a lot of penalties. Carolina, much the same. Very, very similar, and I would expect the games between these teams to go by rather quickly unless it devolves into a bunch of fighting and punching. But, I mean, while both teams have players that can do that, I don't know that that happens. So if we look at the regular season results, the Islanders won the first meeting 6-2 on October 28th, and the happiness ended there. Carolina won on December 10th, 3-0. Carolina won 5-2 on January 21st, and they won 2-1 on April 2nd. So that's 3 wins in a row, all in regulation for Carolina. Not too shabby. And the last time these teams met, Carolina swept them in 2019. So really, this is just me looking at the rosters and saying I don't know that the Islanders can necessarily knock off Carolina. Not that Carolina's look like a juggernaut. Over the months of March and April, Carolina 13-10-1, the Islanders 11-6-1. So the Islanders' record's been a little better over the last month and a half. So again, we'll see how this turns out. Now, for Carolina, 6 playoffs in a row for them. The record is 7. That was set by the Whalers. That's franchise history. This is Carolina history, of course. They've already made it. But in terms of the franchise, including the Hartford Whalers, 7 is the record. So I do expect them to reach that record next year. And it is more impressive to do that in a 32-team era where 16 teams make it than a 21 team era where 16 teams make it. I'll get there. The Islanders 42-31-9 on the season, so exactly 10 games or 20 points behind the Carolina Hurricanes with the 52-21-9 mark. But keep in mind with the Islanders, the last 2 times they made the playoffs, 2020 and 2021, they made it to the conference finals. So this is not a team that loses early in the playoffs. Not usually. Their last first round elimination, now this doesn't include years they missed the playoffs, but it was 2015, the last time that they lost in the first round of the playoffs. Which is odd because I remember when they won in the first round after that, I believe it was against Florida, and that was the first time they'd been out of the first round in a long time. So that's how reputations can change, where a team can go from they never win in the first round to they don't lose in the first round. For the Carolina Hurricanes, they lead in the special teams categories. Their power play has struggled though, 19.8%, but the Islanders at 15.8%. This may not be a series where the special teams are nearly as important. Both penalty kills are pretty good. Carolina at 84.4%, the Islanders 82.2%. It is worthy of note though that Carolina's ahead on both marks, and so special teams kind of favors Carolina there. Goals for per game, the offense favors Carolina a bit, 3.19 goals for per game, comparatively speaking with the Islanders 2.95. Goals against also favors Carolina, 2.56 goals against per game, 2.65 goals against per game for the New York Islanders. So when we look at their top scorers, Marty Necas is the leading scorer for the Carolina Hurricanes, 28 goals, 43 assists, 71 points. Fantastic first half of the season, dropped off a bit in the second half. Sebastian Aho, 36 goals, 31 assists, and that adds up to, not 7. I swear I'm awake, and I swear I slept last night. I guess I slept too much. 67 points for Aho. Now, Aho is capable of more overall points than 67. The 36 goals, though, are solid. Brent Burns, 18 goals, 43 assists, 61 points. Burns has had a remarkable season for the Carolina Hurricanes, and I would expect that would continue in the playoffs. Jesse Puljujarvi, it has not been a fantastic run for him with Carolina, just 2 assists in 17 games. So of their additions and players they brought in, Puljujarvi in those 17 games, not really impressing much. We'll see how much he plays in the playoffs, how short a leash he gets from Rod Vindemore, because again, you can't afford to lose very many games or you're out. and you can't afford to have a lineup that's not benefiting you from first line through fourth. Jordan Stahl's the veteran to watch for me on the Carolina Hurricanes. 17 goals, 17 assists, 34 points for them this year. But when you need a key goal, Stahl can be your guy. Freddie Anderson, probably the starter, 21-11-1 at a 903 save percentage. I'm saying probably because Ronta's record is fantastic. 19-3-3 with a 910 save percentage. So they do have an interesting conundrum here, and just for giggles, Kachetkov's on the board, 12-7-5 with a 909 save percentage. So there's a three-headed monster in net, and it remains to be seen what the hierarchy exactly is with that three-headed monster. I would think Anderson's probably the starter, Ronta the backup, and Kachekov number 3, but I don't think Brendan Moore's going to be shy about who he plays or playing a whim. We think Kachekov gives us the best chance to win. We put Kachekov in, kind of thing. Then you get to the Islanders side of things. Brock Nelson, 36 goals, 39 assists, 75 points. Very good year. And I really do think that there are players in New York that if they played elsewhere, their totals would be higher. I think Nelson would be pushing 50 goals if he played on a high-flying team with a lot of offense. Barzell, 59 games played this season. He's missed a ton of time, but he should be back for game 1. That's the plan. 14 goals, 37 assists, 51 points. Barzell, very good player. The goals were actually starting to arrive for him shortly before the injury, so we'll see if that continues into the playoffs. Anders Lee, 28 goals, 22 assists, 50 points. Very reliable, solid veteran presence for them. The goal scoring will be by committee. Now, their addition, Bo Horvat, 30 games played, 7 goals, 9 assists, 16 points. And I've seen a lot of people taking victory laps over Horvat's production being down with the Islanders. We all knew that the production would be down with the Islanders from where it was in Vancouver. Vancouver, he was parking himself in front of the net, and there were a lot of tip pucks. And it's not the same style of game that's being played by the Islanders, nor are they employing him that way. Now, that may change in the playoffs, where, having a guy in front of the net for all those tip pucks is great, but at this point, Horvat's giving them reliability in the face-off circle, and I think he's playing a good two-way game. So we'll see how it goes in the playoffs. And the veteran I picked, Zach Parise, 21 goals, 13 assists, 34 points. He's been playing quite well lately. And again, it's going to be scoring by committee for both of these teams. And it does feel like for the Islanders, there's a little less star power and a little more of that grind out the game kind of style there. Not that Parise's part of that, of course, but I thought, well, I could put Clutterbuck. I don't know Clutterbuck necessarily gets a goal. Now that I've said it, he will. Sorokin, 31, 22, and 7, 924 save percentage. He will be causing certain people to say, well, I don't know who I'm going to pick. However, Sorokin's been fantastic, so I'll take the Islanders. Varlamov is the backup, 11, 9, and 2, 913 save percentage. His save percentage is still higher than the 3 goalies on that side of the board. And so it will be a very fascinating series between these two teams. Again, the games themselves may end up being kind of quick. We may have a resolution relatively quickly, but we also, because of the nature of the way these teams play, because of the defensive style, the fact that, there's very few whistles in their games, we may end up with a lot of overtime in these series. You may end up with a lot of, it's 1-1, we're going overtime again. But I think it's going to be closer than the last time they met, where Carolina swept them in 4. But it'll be interesting to see how much closer it gets. And again, I'm taking Carolina, but it's just barely. This series to me is very, very close, and a big part of that is Ilya Sorokin and the fact that I know he's really good at getting shutouts, as his entire career has shown. So let me know your pick in the comment section below. As always, all the polls are now live on the channel. So once those have run their course, I will be discussing those on the channel as well and saying here's how the channel's voting. And then we'll go from there. But let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.